Hello, and welcome to Tabletop Terrors. My name is James, and this is my brother Tim.
We believe that everyone can be more creative, and we prove it using tabletop games. TheWriter is a buddy of ours. We've gamed with him, and we've watched his channel for a while, and he has invited us, the Brothers Terror, to ruin his channel with one of our own D&D stories. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, we're going to give this a shot, so stay tuned.
TheWriter tells a bunch of really great stories about his adventures in D&D. Today, Tim and I are going to regale you with what is more or less a chronicle of near misses of trying to play D&D with people that we're closest to, our family.
That's going to be great.
But before we get to that, a Tabtarian toast.
This is something we do on our channel, and we want to invite you to do the same.
May you mend the first break.
May you kill the first snake.
And may you conquer everything you undertake.
Sancha.
So, started off right. I spilled some on my jeans.
That's the way
Usually we drink a little bit first, but it was super full, and I just poured it right on me.
I'm already 3/4
okay.
done.
Yeah,
I've been
hard.
killing this thing. So, here's our story. So, one of the things that impresses me with this channel, is that TheWriter recounts D&D stories with accuracy
and a level of detail that is, I think, sort of unsurpassed.
Agreed. He's super good at it. And so when we decided to do this channel invasion, you're going to see his video on our channel, and this is our video on his channel. We thought, I don't know if we can pull it off like he can, but I think we're going to put our own spin on it and really just try to tell you about how bad good trying to run a home game for our family has been.
As well as the fact that we ran, I think, all of these games. I don't think we've played with our family since we have joined the community we've joined and gamed as much as we have and learned as much as we have.
It's true.
So as well as the fact that we can put some of the blame on our family for being inattentive, not knowing their characters, sort of otherwise just kind of messing around, we were also really bad at GMing.
Yeah. It's totally true. So I think, to me, this story starts with the birth of my daughter. And I'll make this very quick. But when my daughter was born, her name's Evelyn, call her Evie, she was born the day that the early release of the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition starter set was. Right around there. So, to kind of give you an idea, that really... What's funny already?
I'm hoping the story goes where I think it is.
Well, you tell
How
me.
did you get your hands on that?
Oh, boy. You want to go there?
You got it. We're going there. This is
right.
a Tabletop Terrors D&D story, baby.
Okay.
We're going there.
All right, so... My family had been playing a little bit of D&D Next, and we had been homebrewing. And when I say my family had been playing...
we read the rules a couple times.
Nope.
We set it up a few times.
Only we read the rules.
Only we.
Long story short, we had been dabbling, but everybody loved the concept, and everybody wanted to get in on a game. But my wife had our baby, and so when she was resting and the baby was resting, this is very common.
The resting part, not what he's about to say.
I snuck away.
You can't use the word snuck if you want it to sound normal. You popped out. You could even go for...
I'll go Brit with it. I popped out for a spot of D&D. So I knew release day was that day, and I thought, all right, my newborn daughter is asleep. I got to tell this part. She was in they call it the NICU, which is the prenatal.
It's not PNICU.
It should be, right?
Prenatal. Probably no, natal. Prenatal is before they're born.
Oh, right,
so
yeah.
She's
so
born now, so
it's
natal.
the natal intensive
Welcome to
care
Tabletop Terrors, where we don't know what words mean.
Yeah, which, get on that
But
train.
she's in the natal ICU.
Anyway, my daughter was she was in the natal ICU, and she, or newborn? I don't know. Whatever. That's probably what it is. Forgive us, Ralph Nader. And all your natals. So, she was okay, but she was having some heart issues, and she was born a little prematurely, so they had her in there to watch her. And so it was a tense first couple of days because we wanted to make sure that she didn't have any long-term issues and things like that.
Yeah, you're sort of waiting for
Right.
the worst news or hopefully the best.
Right.
But there's nothing you can do except for sit and wait, basically.
Exactly. So my wife was getting some much-needed sleep, and the nurse in the NICU, she basically said, hey, your daughter's looking great. All the tests we've done so far in the first several hours have been really good. A specialist is going to come in tomorrow, but until then, just relax. And, you and your wife try to get some rest. And so from there, that's when I popped out. And so there was a gaming store that was it was like 3 miles away. And luckily for me, they were one of the early release stores. So they got the Wizards of the Coast items and products earlier than the normal.
It wasn't
street
any of
day.
the books. It was the
starter set.
Just the starter
Just
set.
the starter set. And so, anyway, so I go there. I go to this store, and the gentleman who I had called to confirm, when I get there, just put it this way. This store thrives off of sales of Magic the Gathering cards, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Collectible card games. Or general things that have the low real estate to high income ratio.
Correct. As well as a lot of board games. So Dungeons and Dragons, especially before 5th edition, right? The landscape of Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons was very different. It's been a couple of years now, but before 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons,
you had 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons,
correct,
which has its own following, but it wasn't in the public eye, I think, like 5th edition is now.
Totally agree.
There's
And
no
they weren't pushing as much product off the shelves, bottom line. People were still buying Pathfinder stuff, but anyway. So when I was asking, hey, do you have this 5th edition starter set? He was just like, yeah, we should have some. So anyway, so I get there, and he couldn't have been more disinterested in me. I walk through the door. I'm unshowered because I had been, which he's probably used to, let's be honest. Anyway, I had good reason. So I basically go in there, and my hair's all a mess or whatever, and I'm like, hey, I'm here for that starter set. And the person who I'm speaking with at the front counter was not the gentleman I spoke with on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
So he gives me the old, that doesn't come out for like 2 weeks. No, I talked to somebody on the phone.
You have to tell the store owners, no. There's this thing, they're like Wizard early release stores where they get it early.
It's exactly what
this guy's like, wait, which one of us is behind the counter right now?
And he's like, I don't think we have
trust
that.
me.
I'm like, well, anyway, if you can check, yeah, it's going to be a minute because Phil's taking out the trash or whatever, And so Phil, this guy who I made up the name, I don't remember his name, but he's Phil right now. So thanks for your help, Phil. He comes in and goes, oh, yeah, let me find it. And he has to go in the back. Anyway, it's like 20 minutes.
Wow. I have not heard this part of the story.
Because he was in the middle of doing something, an order for a customer, all these other things. So finally, he emerges from the back room with the box, and he's like, here you go,
Cobwebs in his hair.
He's like, here.
He's got some Lembas crumbs. He's like, dude, it took a while. I'm
sorry. And I go, what's that for? And he goes, the journey back. So... Anyway, all that to say, getting that starter set and having that was like...
your first adventure.
It was my first adventure.
in 5th edition.
But from there, and my daughter was healthy, and there's another story.
Is healthy, I don't know.
She is still very healthy.
She's currently healthy. She's about 3 years old now.
She's
Almost
2.5,
3.
so...
Almost 3. If you ask her, she's 2 3/4, but...
Yeah. But I have the starter set. I started reading through it, and that's honestly when we started Tabletop Terrors. That's what I mean. That's a whole nother story about the way we started. But that starter set was the, hey, let's run games for our family.
Let's really do this. Like you said, we were dabbling with Next. We had tried 4th edition when it came out, but there wasn't that much interest, and we never really pushed
From
it.
our family.
From our family, yeah.
We thought it was cool, and the art's awesome.
But we didn't have many people to play with, but we have a really big family, so we thought that would be perfect, But they kind of weren't into it, and it's like, we had the time, hadn't considered something like a one-on-one, but whatever. All that to say that 5th edition was like the next sort of shot in the arm we needed to be like, listen, we've loved playing D&D in the past. Yes. Why don't we do this more often? Hey, look at this really good excuse. So you got the starter set, and then that's when we finally decided to get together.
Yes. And so... I think it's important that everyone knows.
Well, should we pull out the family tree now? Or
Yeah, like, okay, our family is huge in numbers, like as far as
well as size.
As well as size. So, sorry, James's dog's on the side over here, and I'm worried that he's going to sit on the power strip that powers everything that we do. Come here, buddy. So, James's dog, Ty. Anyway, the point is that I totally lost my thought. And I was going to try to save it.
Our family's really big.
Oh, right. Our
Basically,
family,
when we say
people.
we wanted to get together to play D&D, it's like, hey, we're going to ask our dad and 2 of our brothers, do you want to get together and play D&D?
But the thing is when you talk about the Carney family, we do everything as the whole family. And if you omit one person,
No, I think you've got the wrong idea. You don't omit one person. You say, hey, Dad, Matt, and Thomas, do you guys want to play D&D? Oh, yeah, sounds good. Oh, yeah, Mom's coming. Oh, well, we're all going to Timmy's house? What are we eating? Did you invite Caitlin? Did you invite so-and-so? Who's going to be there? And suddenly it's like, it is not hey, let's sit down and play D&D. There's like 14 people at the house, and 5 or 6 of us are trying to play D&D.
Right, and it's not
Learn
and then play
D&D.
So when we did this for the first time, we got everybody together. I think
I printed out character sheets at work. Okay, I printed out a bunch of just blank character sheets at work. Should have been just printing out pre-gens. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that. So here's the thing: is our family. I think all of them love the idea of playing D&D, but we have never finished a full game of D&D. I think you pointed out earlier, and I think this is so true, that a lot of that, at least half of that, has to do with the fact that us as dungeon masters now have grown so much, just being a part of the Absolute Tabletop Facebook group and playing in some of the online campaigns like the Ironheart of Innis, which Tony played in. We learned a lot about how to talk to players, how to wrangle players, how to manage time, and things like that.
Yeah, like all of the things you need to know to be a reasonable dungeon master. We're not there at all.
And I think what we should do is just paint the picture of that first fateful day where we all were like, okay, it's a Sunday afternoon. Let's all get together and let's play some Dungeons and Dragons.
All right, so like we talked about, we invited a few people. We were going to do it at Tim's house, and then everybody got invited. So you're talking at least, I think, 12 people.
There were 12 people. And I don't have a huge house. I don't have a tiny house either. I have a townhome.
You have a very large common area, though. We usually get together at your house because just in general, the area that everybody can gather in is great.
Right. Because the living room kind of connects to the kitchen, and there's a half island, like so that it's a half wall. You can talk through the kitchen.
And then there's like the dining area is there too. It's all one big room, and it's a pretty big room.
Right. So we can cram a lot of people in there. So we set up a table similar to this one that we use. It might even be this one.
It is not this one. But it doesn't matter. It's the same table. It's one of those white tables you see at, I don't know, festivals or whatever.
Yeah, it's
$40 from Walmart.
Yeah, it's like the Lifetime craft
We had
table.
to set that up because we didn't have enough room. We were going to sit at your dining table, but I mean, that fits like 5 people.
Yeah, it's not made for that.
We were going to, fit the normal amount of people around it.
Right. Well, so here's what I love, too, is that we don't have enough chairs for this table and as many people as showed up because they all wanted to play by the time we...
Exactly. Usually what happens is we all hang out at Tim's house, but there are chairs at the dining table, somebody standing up, there are couches and love seats. There's plenty of seating, but not seating for around a table. So yes, basically when everybody caught wind of what we were doing, they were all interested in playing, but all separately, not realizing probably that 12 other people, or at that point 11 other people, had the same idea.
Exactly. So you're talking, I had a chase lounge or a chaise lounge, which is it's that long chair that looks kind of like a couch but has a back like a chair. So we push the table up against that. I've got like an office chair. My dining room table has a bench on one side, so we were using the bench, all the dining room table chairs, and just gathering around. I'm standing. All of this in the common area while there's at least 2 people on the couch who aren't playing, trying to watch the television, which they turn on literally right behind me.
And don't forget that we got the starter set when a newborn baby had arrived. So this might have been a few weeks after that. So
Yeah.
you've got a few week, maybe a month-old baby.
She was probably like a month and a half because we didn't do much that first month. But
that makes sense.
We
not
started
a baby expert.
so like we're talking.
But so somebody is taking care of said baby,
my wife
but
or my mom.
there's still a baby that needs taking care of, and in general,
She needs to be fed
is
every
making
couple of
noises
hours.
and,
Changed constantly. So, I mean, that's not ideal in many players' minds. And then when you pepper in the fact that all of these people, why didn't we just make pre-gens, James?
I don't know. Like, okay, so here's the thing. You were running, so we didn't talk about what you were doing.
Oh, man.
And I also had not run or read at the time The Lost Mines of Phandelver. I later read it and was like, what the hell was Tim doing?
Yeah, I just
None of that happened. Like, it came with an adventure to run, and he was just like...
I made up something totally different. Surprise! So the truth behind that is we're gathering everybody up, and I'm like, we're trying to figure out character sheets and...
instead of using pre-gens, we came across the bodies of the people in the Lost Mines of Phandelver across the pre-gens, and then was like, oh, that was cool. And then there was a monster and some corridors, none of which is in the Lost Mines of Phandelver.
I had no end game in mind.
Yeah, you were just one step, like 1 foot in front of the other. That was it.
Just like, okay. And so...
Didn't even know where you were going.
The players
And I can't even blame you. Like, I'm railing you pretty hard for this, but...
Well, let's just understand, too, 5th edition had just come out. And there was no player's handbook at this point because of the way they, Wizards of the Coast staggered the releases, which I was a big fan of, especially because we have, we are part and co-founders of an independent publishing company, Absolute Tabletop. I can understand why you would stagger the release of 3 books so that the quality is there, the proofreading is there, the focus is there,
and
it has to be better.
The money is there. I would have never bought... I wouldn't own all 3 books if they came out at the same time.
Sure, it's true.
Like, hey, you want to spend... Hey, you just had a baby. You want to spend $250 on the latest role-playing...
like the
latest role-playing game after 4th edition?
Right. No, dude, trust me. So we have our family gathered around, and at this point...
We finally finish eating. There was eating happened.
Can we just talk about that? Can we talk about the fact that... Okay, so you can see...
If you're getting everybody together on a Sunday afternoon, they're not going to eat before they come.
Food.
What are we eating? What are we eating? Well, you guys want to do pizza? And we're like, can't you? This isn't...
And I'm telling you, so here's the thing. If you're listening to this story and you're like, this is supposed to be a D&D story, I promise you this is the best representation of how the game never happened.
This is a D&D
that
story.
We can tell you. So I think the thing I remembered the most about the food... We've all had these players who do this, okay? Okay, it's time to start.
Finally. I mean, you're talking...
we're like...
An hour after we said we finally got everybody down. People keep asking questions, and we say, no, we're going to answer them later. Ready to start. Hey, everyone's quiet.
I'm going to run... Can I just run and get some Wendy's? Like, what?
So what have you been doing for the last 2 hours? Because it certainly wasn't learning D&D 5th edition.
Right? So I'm like, what? Yeah, real quick. I'm just going to run and get some Wendy's. It'll be fine. Now that turns into, hey, while you're going to run to Wendy's, can you get me Chinese? Okay. So you're talking, we were supposed to meet, let's say it was like 3.
Yeah.
1 to 3, somewhere in there. It's been 2 hours, and now they want to get food. And my parents brought... pizza to reheat, or was it a frozen pizza?
It was a DiGiorno's. Yeah. They were like, "Oh, we got this DiGiorno's."
So they decided to put the DiGiorno into the oven while my brother goes to get Wendy's.
And Tim and I are sitting here like
what?
What hath we wrought?
So anyway, that whole thing's going on. So just think of this: the DiGiorno is now in the oven. My brother is away to Wendy's and picking up Chinese for someone else. It's at least 40 minutes before we actually start, and I think, should I wait and tell him about the pizza reheating? Because that's one of my favorite parts.
That's the thing. The most important part about that is we had finally started. Everybody, again, we've been hanging out, and it's been a great time. It's been a lot of fun. Our whole family's there. They're hanging out. That's never not a fun time.
Sure, exactly.
We just had a different expectation of what was going to take place.
Maybe some percent D&D.
At least a little bit, but...
Yeah. There was as much D&D so far in that day as there has been in this D&D story, which is 0%.
So, that's the important thing. We finally get everybody settled back in, and Tim and I are pulling our hair out at this point. But literally everybody's good. sitting. They're fine. Everybody's eaten. They got back with Wendy's Chinese food. They've eaten the DiGiorno's. They've eaten it. They've had a few slices, whatever. Everybody's sitting down, and you start reading or coming up with or narrating the very beginning.
Like some sort of gray box text, yeah.
And then what happens? So, because you can tell it how you remember it, and I can tell it how I remember it, and I guarantee it'll be different, but with the same high points.
All right. Are you ready for this? So, the way that I remember it is that, first of all, I'm having to tell everybody what they can do, which is fair, because I didn't set this up. We didn't really explain that our family, aside from a little bit of D&D Next, like playtesty, sort of very narrative-heavy games, they have no idea how to play D&D. They've never played D&D before, really. And so, 5th edition, they just had no idea.
I think part of our mistake was coming to them with D&D as though they would be like a regular group.
Exactly.
Where if you came to a regular group with like, hey guys, we're going to get together and we're going to make characters. And they're like, all right, I'm in, I'm going to learn something. We kept doing that as though at any point that had worked.
Right.
So, yes, that was our bad. But
like,
answering questions, we're trying so hard to play D&D.
Meaning, like, it's like, okay, so, I read them the gray text prompt and, for whatever I made up, and it was like, and you see the wizard's tower in the north. And then everyone's just sitting there. So, and they're just like kind of looking at their character sheets, like no one knows what to do at all.
And that's the funny part. Like, it's not their fault. It's totally not their fault.
Looking back,
I don't even think you said like, so what do you guys want to do? You just ended with that. It was very dramatic. And then they're like, oh, well, let's see what I can do. And I'm like, you can walk.
Do anything in the whole universe.
Anything. You can like at least like, well, let's go. But they were just like, oh, can I use this? And I'm like, use your legs, man.
Right. Oh, man. And then, so anyway, so we finally get a little bit of traction, a little bit of momentum. I was like, okay. And then was it a combat?
What?
The pizza.
No, here's the thing.
Okay.
No.
You tell it how you remember
it completely different.
Okay, you tell me how you remember it. Because I remember the game just started. We just
I remember
started
it
getting going.
happening.
Everything's going, and then I'm like...
in the middle of the gray text. Gray box text in the middle.
Okay. That might have...
Like right in the middle. And
you would
like,
remember better than I would. It was a blur of juggling all the different things that we were doing wrong. So what do you remember it?
You want me to like go for it?
Go for it.
Punchline? All right, so...
Go for it.
You're reading the text. Nobody says anything. But my dad stands up from the table. After everything that's happened so far. Wendy's, pizza, this, that. Finally, everybody's sitting down. And silently, my dad gets up. And he goes into the kitchen. And Tim soldiers on. He's still reading. Or, like I said, I think you were coming up with, you were kind of...
And then you hear... like clanking.
And finally, and like you're just doing your best to just keep going. And finally you're like, what are you doing in there? Oh, I'm reheating some of this pizza. Right now? Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm listening. And it's like, it's not a matter of listening. It's a matter of, there's finally a moment of silence where everybody can listen, and you decided to go hibachi in the kitchen.
I know, listen.
You're like,
I know.
cling.
He's doing an egg in his hat.
Yeah, he throws shrimp. I'm like, where did you get shrimp from?
He's doing a little volcano with an onion. I'm like, you're eating pizza. Where's that? So... the thing that I remember, too, is that pizza absolutely did make it to my carpet and did leave a stain of pizza sauce.
Also,
for sure. I
probably
because my wife reminded me. She's like, babe, where did... And I'm like, it was my dad.
Before that happened, though. Because now he's super on blast. He's trying to hurry.
Oh,
he was reheating it on the grate of the oven. He pulls it out, whatever, and he's walking back in, and he burns the crap out of his tongue. You're still reading. It's still silent. And he goes, son of a... And we're just looking at him like, this is a cartoon.
Oh,
this is a movie happening right now.
Oh my God. So we start, we end up playing a little bit, and we kind of start to...
And yeah, we find a cave. I think
totally.
we end up in a cave, and like I said, we came across the bodies of... I don't think everybody else got this, but it was the bodies of the people that were sent
to Phandelver.
Yeah, like
there's no way they would get that at all in a million years, but... So we do play a little bit, and we do a combat, and that was a very tutorial kind of thing. And I think once the combat ended, it was kind of like, you could see, like, everyone was kind of on their phones.
Yeah, like,
was
okay, so I guess this is D&D.
They were done.
They were done. Now, granted, they had technically been playing for about 6 hours at this point.
If you think about it, not really playing, but they had been at my house
about
for 6 hours.
like maybe 40 minutes of play happened, but to them, they're like,
Right.
I've been playing D&D all day. This is
Wow,
hard
I've
work.
been sitting here. I've been doing, so anyway. But that brings me to, I really, really want to give a home campaign another shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it would be really fun to do like a session 0, put it in our campaign World of Dragongrin. We kind of talked about what it would be like, but really do a session 0, maybe even set up a couple of GoPros to film that, just really talk it through with the family and make them more engaged in building the characters, making characters they love, deciding the tone and the style.
And finding, that we had the starter set. So there was no, like, hey, what do you guys want to play? What would you be interested in?
Right.
It was
There
just
was
like,
nothing
we're
like
going to
that.
play the thing that we have. We're all learning this.
Yeah, totally. So, I don't know. That would be cool. Would you, who do you, I'm thinking Matt, Thomas, you, and Dad.
You're naming people like there are more than like that many. You're like,
Well, because then we had our sister-in-law, Caitlin, was interested in playing it. You know what? I'll give it to Caitlin. She was the most engaged, I think, of almost anybody.
I
and
think so.
using her stuff on the sheet. So, I don't know. I would be down with
yeah, I think it'd be really cool.
You, Matt. Anyway, we're going to probably do another pass at that. Now knowing so much, it's been 2 years, learning a lot.
Yeah,
so.
I think that, and in general, controlling the atmosphere a little bit more. We kind of let it run off on us. But I think that's the important thing, is we have plenty of times now, like since then, that we have played D&D with other people, not with our family, and had a great time, and it was awesome. But personally, I felt like that was probably one of the best times I ever had playing D&D.
As weird as that sounds, right?
Like, that's just how it is, so I guess that's the important thing I want to say. That's why we chose that particular story of playing about 40 minutes of D&D in about 6 hours.
It's because with an in-person game like that, it's just about the people.
Yeah.
And it's about hanging out. And I do remember, we were laughing, having a great time.
Exactly. It was awesome. It was not D&D at all, but it was so much fun. Like I said, I still look back on that fondly. There were just a lot of things that we didn't know, both about D&D and gathering for D&D and teaching D&D. You know, there was a little bit of a mistake there for sure.
So, we hope you've enjoyed this. If you have enjoyed this, head over to Tabletop Terrors and you can subscribe over there. If you want to be uncommonly good at D&D, we focus on being hyper creative, then you'd probably like Tabletop Terrors. It's just the two of us talking, sharing our experiences, giving you tips, and really it's about community. And, once you go over there and sub up, you're part of the Carney family. So
whether you like it or not.
So thanks to T for having us here. And, that this was our D&D story. You can, if you haven't yet, you can also go over to our channel and see his video. He did, Splatbook Roulette.
Splatbook Roulette. He did one. He did a video that we like to do. That's, of course, why we're doing a video that he does. So you can, if you're a big fan of TheWriter, you can go over to our channel and see his, where he does a Splatbook Roulette with a really cool book about dragons.
Yeah. He does a really good job, and you'll probably see a side of T you've never seen before.
That, I would say, is the best way to put it. Yeah.
It's really good. But anyway, the way that we ended on our channel is we just wish you the best, and we say, until next time, may your dice roll high.
Tabletop Tarot. They will get you, yes they will. Tabletop Tarot. Raising all your stats. Tabletop Tarot. Cut your letters, cubes, brass. Terror on the tabletop. Terror on the tabletop. Terror on the tabletop. Terror on the tabletop. TabletopTerrors.com. Subscribe to our channel.